Hey, Uninvited Bible Study Group. Good to see you. We have 4 more weeks left, and we are halfway through our Bible study. And I just wanted to kind of quickly review chapter 7 and chapter 8. I loved them, and I really received a lot from both chapters. Every chapter I'm going through in this book, it seems like God is just peeling off layers, and I'm like, okay, I'll deal with that too. Okay, I'll deal with that too. But chapter 7 is when our normal gets snatched. And it talks about when our plans, our dreams, and our desires go up in flames. And I know a lot of us have been through different things that fell apart, divorce or heartbreak, or just when your plans don't work out and you had this awesome ABC plan, 1, 2, 3, and then God basically crumbled it up like a piece of paper and said, "Okay, let's do my plan instead." So that's kind of what this season has been like for us. So it fit perfectly for my life right now. I'm sure you related to it too. I loved page 81. It really stood out to me. It was talking about, in the third paragraph, it was talking about not now grace turns into right now grace. I realize if I don't cooperate with grace in this moment, that I will carry the stench of bitterness and rub it off on all that come close to me. And this realization makes me so annoyed. I was the person that was hurt. Why do I have to be the bigger person? And it reminds me of that statement, the high road is not so busy. So I just want to encourage you to take that high road in every relationship and situation, family, friends, work, co-workers. Take the high road, be the bigger person. Not now grace turns into right now grace. I thought that was really good. And it's talking about seeking vengeance and justice and fairness. And I'm such a justice person, and I have a hard time letting things go and placing them into the hands of God. It talks about, on the bottom of 81, seeking what's fair and making space for grace, and how we have to step over our feelings of hurt, and then we are free to pick up the box of grace, and we can give that gift to others once we step over our own hurt and bitterness. But I love that. No more revenge. Vengeance is God's. Pursue the sweetness of grace. And I just wanted to share this with you. This past week, something happened, and I had a choice. And I feel like this book really pinned me in a corner. God did with this book. And it's like, what have you been studying, teaching? And I just felt like, God, I don't know how I'm going to respond to this situation in the right way. And so I just kind of, instead of going my own direction, I leaned into Him. And I said, Lord, I need help with my response to this situation. I am leaning into you. And I said out of my mouth, I said, I trust you with my response. And I need you to help me respond to this in the right way. Now, in 34 years of life, I've never done that before. Okay? So I even knew when it came out of my mouth, I was like, that was strange. That was odd. Because I usually just take care of things the way I want to, and respond the way I want to. And it all works out, but it's pretty messy sometimes. And so I knew that was a defining moment for me personally. And I want to tell you, I saw miracles this week in my family, in some situations, in things. I mean, just absolute miracles this week that I will treasure forever because I know I trusted Him in my response. And in that moment of just hurt and anger and rejection and bitterness, if you can take all that hurt and lean into Him, and say, God, help me know how to respond to this. Because I know how my flesh wants to respond. Help me to know how to respond in my spirit, man, to what's going on. And I'm telling you, Acknowledge Him in all your ways, and He will direct your steps. He will give you the grace to be able to respond the correct way. But cooperate with His grace. I love that. And God, I trust you with my response to this. It changed my life this week. It changed my life forever, and I really did experience miracles. So I just want you to grasp that with me, in the heat of the moment, in that depth of hurt and rejection that I've been going through just doing this Bible study. I've had many opportunities to grow, growing opportunities, and I just wanted to encourage you, lean into Him when you are hurt and disappointed and rejected. Remain steady. And I wanted to talk about page 84 too. She found stability by filling the insecurity with His grace. She gave out of her own lack from the empty places in her heart, and God graciously filled her. She made enormous space for grace. And it was talking about helping others too. How you can learn how to help others through what you were hurt by. The more she hurt, the more she learned how to help others that were hurt. I thought that was awesome. So you're learning something in the hurt. You're learning something in the rejection. You're learning something in those moments of disappointment and just crushing. Life is crushing. Relationships are crushing. Marriage is hard. Friends, it's not always easy. There are misunderstandings, there's disappointments, there are so many tangly webs, but at the end of the day, you've got to cooperate with grace, and I love that. It's impossible to hold up the banners of victim and victory at the same time. Amen. Chapter 8, I wish I would have had it 2 years ago, before I did women's ministry, because I'm sitting here reading chapter 8 and I'm like, wow, but I know that God's preparing me to be a better leader and a better person in general. But it's called the corrective experience in chapter 8. And I've learned a lot. How can I have better conversations with people? How can I not talk down to people? Not you should have, you could have done things differently, because it makes people defensive and they shut down and they withdraw. But how to talk to people like, me too, I understand what you're going through, I understand your point of view, and I hear you, I validate you. How important it is for people to feel that acceptance and not that you're always right. And I struggle with that. I'll just be honest. This hit me like a ton of bricks, and I'm more concerned about making my point or making progress. And I'll be honest, a lot of times in my life it has been me making my point, period. And, I just have to stop and say, hey, do I want to be right, or do I want this to be right? Do I want to be right and win, or do I want to make it right and have peace? Sometimes peace is most important. Not that you let people run over you, but you can present your ideas and requests and conversations differently. You don't have to talk down people. You don't have to make them question their worth. And that Me Too conversation puts us on the same team and helps us to attack the problem and not each other. I thought that was really good. Page 96. I'm almost done. It talks about existing wounds and how extreme reactors are usually dealing with compounding factors. It talks about Nabal's words struck an existing wound in David. And it just talks about deep wounds and how people poke at them and they pop open, and your reactions show that you have not been healed in that area. And I heard this on the radio the other day. It said, the more you hurt, the area where you hurt the most is the area you need hope the most. And I thought that was so good for this study too. It's like, yes, it is. And it talks about David being rejected, anointed to be the next king, but at the same time experiencing that deep rejection from his father that wouldn't even invite him in the house and wouldn't even acknowledge him. So, dealing with those deep roots of rejection and wounds. And then it talks about Abigail, how she dealt with David, and she was gentle, loving, honoring, and life-giving. She spoke words of truth in a tone of grace. She soothed deep wounds in David. And I definitely thought about marriage and how we can, shoot daggers at each other, or we can speak in a tone of grace. And the tone thing got me, and I was like, oh, Lord, help me with my tone towards my husband, because, you can just get snappy and you can get rude, and it's not okay. Jesus doesn't like ugly. Okay, and that was for me. It just talks about looking at the pain in people's reactions, realizing there's pain there, that's why they're reacting, and realizing there's pain in you, and that's why you're reacting the way you are. So this book is changing my life. It's changing my perspective, and it's helping me see people in a different way and to love myself and others better. And next week we're doing chapter 9 and 10, and I'm so excited. Catch up if you need to this weekend, and I'm so excited to start chapter 9 on Monday. I love you all. I'm praying for you, and I'm so excited you're in this Bible study with me. Share below what stood out to you in chapter 7 and 8, and I know God's doing an amazing work in you. Just embrace it. I know some of this is tough, but just dig deep and put your stake in the ground and say, I'm going to live loved. I'm going to realize who I am in God. I'm going to live loved. And I'm going to deal with all of this deep hurt and rejection that I've been carrying around for years. And I'm going to lean into Him for my responses in the future, my conversations in the future. Love you guys. Bye.